Okay. Some of you may have come here because you're curious about surgery. Maybe you saw my result and you were like, holy shit. Sorry, I look at my legs now and I'm like, holy shit. So, I'm going to share with you how I decided on a surgeon. So, there are really, really great Facebook groups out there where there's a lot of women who are sharing information about their experiences, about the surgeons that they sought out and even had surgery with. A really, really great one is a global lipedema surgery group. The woman, there's I think one woman that runs it. I think she has a bunch of people that support her in keeping it up. But she has organized several different surgeons from all over the world and created files so that you can go and look at different results as well as read about different people's stories. And so where I started was I started to find women who'd had surgery who had a similar body type to myself. And I began to look at their results and listen and hear what their experiences were like. So, knowing and understanding the various different types of surgery that can be done for lipedema is really, really powerful. There's not a lot of research on like comparing the different types of surgeries. However, I will speak about anecdotal stories that I heard from several women who have had surgery. So I heard from quite a few women who had surgery on their legs without knowing they had lipedema. And what they said was the doctor was unable to even complete the surgery. And depending on the different tools that they use, they make the fat is very hard, so it doesn't respond like healthy fat anymore. A lot of researchers would even argue that it's no longer fat. So their cannulas or whatever would get clogged, and I think they probably didn't understand why. And these women some of them had really terrible results because the doctor was probably able to get some healthy fat and then not the lipedema fat. So then they were left really like lumpy and bumpy with still having pain. So my number one reason for getting surgery was to eliminate the pain I was experiencing in my body. And so that was important to me. Speaking to other women who had had surgeries and their pain was gone was so important. And then also getting curious about the aesthetic looks. This is not an aesthetic surgery. However, we are women who have been living most of our lives unhappy with the way our legs look. So trading one psychological problem for another psychological problem could be challenging. And the reason I hypothesized that might be challenging for me was I heard a lot of women's stories where they regretted having surgery. Not all women have pain with their lipedema, and so a lot of the women who regretted it maybe didn't necessarily have pain, but wanted to get rid of the bulk and the discomfort and the weight of their legs, and were unhappy with different aesthetic results. And also potentially the doctors not being able to get it all. So when I began researching, it became very clear that I may have to have more than one lipedema removal surgery. And so that was something that I took into consideration and something that I explored. I wanted someone knowledgeable in lipedema. So researching and discovering, how these people have accumulated their knowledge, the number of surgeries they've maybe done, looking at and talking to patients that they've had is going to be really, really powerful. And then the next step I took was doing consultations. So do consultations with as many doctors as you think you would love to have surgery with. And so I did several different consultations. Generally, you're not necessarily speaking with the doctor, but there are instances where you will, and that might be important to you. So taking that into consideration is really important. Also, if you are open to travel and if you can be away for an extended period of time so that you can rest and recover for what the doctor recommends, a certain length of time before getting on a plane and flying again. I looked at everything. It would have been so wonderful to be able to go somewhere pretty close to me. I took finances into consideration, but that was not my top priority. My top priority was eliminating pain, the knowledge and experience of the doctor. And yeah, I'd say that those were my two top priorities. Oh, as along with the knowledge and experience, ensuring that I wasn't going to damage my lymphatic system and then end up with something like lymphedema after getting rid of the lipedema fat in my legs. So speaking to doctors or hearing of the experiences of other people where the doctors didn't really understand lipedema was it was a no-brainer in terms of eliminating those doctors. And then there were some doctors that I was very interested in, and their prices from the time I spoke with them to the time I got a consultation or whatever, one tripled in price. And I kind of felt like this doctor might be a little bit taking advantage. This doctor was in the US, and so there are a lot of insurance companies that are covering lipedema surgery. However, I'm Canadian and I was paying out of pocket. There is no coverage for lipedema surgery in Canada at this moment. I think there were a couple of women, like literally like 2 or 3 women who had OHIP cover, not OHIP, because they were in Winnipeg, that had some of their surgeries covered, and then that ended. Truly, some of the best doctors, though, are in Germany and Europe because they have been studying and treating this for decades versus it being something some plastic surgeons have discovered more recently, and they probably want to help, but might not have all of the knowledge. So it is up to us to do our research and do our due diligence and really allow for our intuition as well as our education and knowledge and asking the right questions so that we feel confident in whoever it is that we choose to do our surgery. So those are just some tips and some things that I took into consideration before picking a surgeon. And yeah, if this is something that you are exploring, just start to explore it. Get curious. You know, you might not know how you're going to pay for it yet, but that's okay. You don't have to pay for it as soon as you have the thought. You don't have to pay for it as soon as you begin asking other women about their experiences. Gather this information and begin to believe that it is possible to experience life without pain. I will also share that once I had my surgery, I got very, very committed to implementing all of the conservative therapies that I could into my routine so that I could have great results. And doing this was very powerful and did eliminate a lot of my joint pain. It also eliminated much of the inflammation that I was experiencing. And so I have to say, I felt really, really good before I even went for my surgery. I also did transform my body. My body looked very different. As of now, you cannot lose lipedema fat through different conservative therapies, but I always say yet. So if surgery is something that feels too far out of reach, start with the other stuff. It's okay. But if you're curious about surgery, start researching now. You don't have to know the whole how in order to do it. Okay, that is it for today. I hope you guys have a fabulous day. And if you're exploring different surgeons, have fun with it. Get curious. Start dreaming about being pain-free and living optimally and not having to lug around the weight that you've been lugging around forever. It's going to be great. Bye.